Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA season is right around the corner. It is right around the corner. I am so very hyped. Listen, I'm always hyped for the NBA season. But with the season being right around the corner, I think we're 26, 27 days away from the regular season tip-off. We're getting media days, right? So we got like the Pelicans, and then the Knicks had media day because they have games overseas in preseason, so they get an earlier media day than the other teams across basketball. And again, my entire branding, the company that I own, this merch that I drop is about enjoying the game of basketball. The hat that I'm wearing, In Ball We Trust, for the basketball enthusiasts, that is what I am on the internet. For better or for worse, people know me as the NBA optimist guy. So I'm always excited. But sometimes that excitement level hits new heights. And yesterday, when the Pelicans did their media day, it's like, hey, here's a crazy parallel. On your wedding day, you basically don't see your spouse for the entire day until y'all turn around and see each other. And oh my God, she's in a beautiful dress and hair made, and she's got the perfect makeup on. You in this suit, you got the cut, you know what I'm saying? I saw a picture during media day that I was like, oh, this is reminiscent of that. Yep. This video is brought to you by Vari. Yes, you got me. From head to toe right now. For even the socks, I'm rocking that Vari. It's one of a kind to me because it's designed for movement, but it's built for real life. Let me explain. The most perfect example I could give you is this polo right here. Over the last couple seasons, y'all know I've been golfing and stuff. And on the golf course, you of course want to look your best, but also have that feeling to be free flowing, you know? And the material here is so breathable that like even on a really hot day, I feel okay with wearing this polo. And Lord knows my golf score could use every single advantage I could get, and I feel good in this. Another example is this crew neck that I'm wearing right now. Weather is starting to change. The jogs are going to be just different because the sun won't be out as long. This crew neck is just built for it. From the inside here, you can see this material is just perfect and it's soft, but I hope you understand. And I'm only showing you like one sector of the brand because you got so many different options and styles. You got like the lounge and recovery style. You got like a performance and training sector if you're one of those people that really like to get after it and working out. And you just got so much more. Thank you again to Vari for sponsoring this video. Be sure to hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to find out more. Before we talk about that, I want to show you 4 years ago, Jake Fisher had this one when he was a part of Bleacher Report. This is 4 years ago when Zion had reached north of 300 pounds this offseason. People were not happy. Obviously, this man is always really excited and really happy, but this was unacceptable, and obviously it led to some other things. And then yesterday happened. Again, 4 years ago, this is him. Who is this man? Are we serious right now? Are we serious right now? This doesn't even look like the same person. This doesn't look like the same person. And we had seen pictures of Zion during the offseason, but all the pictures that I had seen, he was wearing baggy clothes. He was hanging out with the guys. He wasn't really showing that he was out there cutting. He was out there doing this. He was out there doing that. I have always been excited for Zion. Hell, even when he was in this picture over 300 pounds, I was still defending Zion because, well, I love Zion. From the moment I found out who he was and the Bulls were bad this season, I said, damn it, Zion is going to be a Bull one day. And since then, I've just been a fan. And I've been a guy that's been defending Zion forever. And it's like Kenny, man, it's just the angle. It's just the editing in the picture. Well, what about a video? Listen, Zion, I got the pleasure of talking to Zion at All-Star Weekend back in Utah. He's always been a super excited, smiling type of dude. But this right here, right? The other picture was amazing, but seeing the video makes me more optimistic because it's sometimes you see players lose a lot of weight and you're like, ooh, his game was catered to him being more physically dominant than the other people. In this video, you can still see he's got his shoulders are still tight. He's still got a lot of strength. So I'm excited about what Zion's going to do this season, man. A healthy year of Zion is just overall good for basketball. I am falling for the Zion Williamson hype for another season in a row. And this comes at the perfect time. I already did this spiel a little bit on Numbers on the Board, our podcast and everything. But right now, ESPN is putting together their top 100 list. They always do, right? And I'm usually, over the last couple of years, I've told y'all, don't even care about these lists at the end of the day, unless you really just react for content at the end of the day. But nobody should be really upset if their favorite player is low on this list, because realistically, a lot of people are putting together these lists with the idea of getting people to care about the list, getting people to talk about the list. Yes, I am here doing that exact thing. But the perfect timing is here, Because as I stroll through this list, the 64th best player in the NBA is Lou Dort, according to ESPN. 63 is LaMelo Ball. 62 is Christian Brown. And then 61, they have Zion Williamson, who previously was ranked 27th. Zion only played, 30 games last season? Yeah, he averaged about 24.6 points per game in 30 games last season before he was shut down after suffering a lower back bruise. There's no better time like the present, because look at this screenshot. I got so much love for Austin Reeves. So much love that I have somehow found myself on our podcast as like a Lakers believer in some instances. What in the world, right? But hopefully this and the conversations about Z over the last year or so is the fuel that he needed to get back to who we know he can be. It is unacceptable for him to be this late into his NBA career and to have 0 NBA playoff minutes. It's unacceptable that over the last 3 seasons, he's got 2 years where he didn't even crack 35 games played, right? Those are some things that have obviously been ailing him over the last couple seasons. So, bulletin board material, 61st best player in the NBA according to the worldwide leader in sports. That's asinine. I got to go out here and show these people who I am. Because we know. Trust me, we know. There was times last season where I watched Zion and I was not really impressed with his explosiveness, right? Zion, obviously, with him not being a jump shooter whatsoever, his explosiveness, his level of being able to cut off of different things was really important to his game. There was many times last season, even though the numbers say 26, 7, and 5, whatever, 26, 7, and 5, especially early in the year, that explosiveness was just not there. You compare it to who he was in 2021, 2022, when he made his all-star game, it felt like night and day. But as the season progressed, he became more efficient there, that even if exposure rate wasn't to the point where his head was at the box of the backboard, I felt like he was just playing better. Once we got to the point where it really was point Zion, I fell back in love with the game that he was playing. So now that he has slimmed down, and hopefully, people lose this weight with the idea of managing potential injury and stuff. So he slimmed down and he is now healthier. Then we should get back to being in the point where Zion is looked at as one of the great players in basketball. We did an episode of Numbers on the Board. I'm gonna keep plugging our shows because damn it, go watch them. Small Ball, Kitty Beecham, Numbers on the Board, and Teed Up with Pierre and Andreessen, all 3 shows under the network. And we were doing an episode of like super bold predictions, right? These predictions were something that we didn't necessarily believe in completely, but there's a part of our brain that's like, ooh, I can see that happening. And the reason I thought of that idea is because before last year's playoffs, now I'm about to feel like LeBron James. Before last year's playoffs, I really liked the Pacers. But I wasn't bold enough to say, I damn sure didn't think they was going to go to Game 7 in the NBA Finals, but I wasn't bold enough to say they can make it back to the conference finals. I even got the tweet that just says Pacers, right? I thought about them as a team that could be really good, but because they had to go against the Cavs in the second round. The Cavs just won 60 games. I can't go out there and say what the 5% of my brain is really thinking. So in this episode, we're doing that and like take these with predictions with a grain of salt. And one of the things that I said is that 5% of me believes that there's a world where Zion Williamson is an all-NBA player. You would think in your mind, considering the amount of hype and the 2 All-Star appearances, that Zion has done that before. The answer is no, he's just got 2 All-Star appearances. He's never made an All-NBA. He's got some votes, right? But he's never actually made it. And the reason why it's a 5% belief and why I don't think it's probably going to happen is because in order to make All-NBA, in a lot of cases, you have to be good. And I just don't think the Pelicans are going to be that good unless Zion is cooking. I think he could. Maybe he's cooking some vegan protein. I don't know what he's cooking, but whatever he's cooking, I want in.
We came up with a plan, and from boxing to working out on the football field a lot to just different random workouts. And during that time frame last year, I really felt a shift in my body to where I would look at him and go, dude, it feels good to feel good. I haven't felt like this since college, high school, just where I can walk in the gym and I'm like, I feel good. We came up with a plan.
I'm curious at what that game looks like. You know what I mean? Like I said, just really, really excited. And well, at least I was excited. At least I was excited. Until I saw another post from that exact same. This is Joe Dumars, who is the Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations over at the Pelicans. He has not had this job for very long. Joe Dumars gets a lot of the responsibility of building a really good team in the early 2000s, the Detroit Pistons, that went on to win a championship and made the conference finals what felt like 100 different times. But after that, he hasn't really done a ton. And I'm not saying that to like take away that NBA championship, because Lord knows there are a lot of executives, a vice president of basketball operations that would love to have a championship. But when he was fired from the Pistons, or let go, or however you want to say it, the reason was he was stuck in old ways as the game was ever evolving. Here's Joe Dumars about this upcoming season.
When you make a trade like you guys did on draft night, do you think that kind of sends the message we expect to be a playoff team when you give away your first round pick the following season?
No, I'm just trying to build a deep team. Like I just said, I've not put that expectation on anyone. I expect us to be competitive every night. Before you can get to playoffs, before you can get to an amount of wins, the first thing you have to establish is, man, we compete hard every single night.
And that part I completely agree with. That is the one of the toughest things when you're going from a team that has not won anything, right? And it's a newish roster, a young roster, competing every single night and putting it all on the floor. 100% agree with that, Mr. Joe Dumars.
Before you can start talking about numbers and play-in and playoff, if you don't establish that in your building first, you're just talking. You're just talking. You're just giving quotes out at that point. So for me, it's a process of establishing a hard, competitive playing team every night, and then we'll get to the wins and losses. That would be if we made a trade or didn't make a trade. I'd be saying the same thing here. So the trade is inconsequential to the belief of what I'm talking about. You get what I'm saying?
No.
So I'm not. It wasn't like, okay, we made this trade, I expect to make the playoffs. That's short-sighted to me.
That's short-sighted to me. And if you don't know the context of this completely, on draft night, the Pelicans traded away a future pick that is the best swap between the Milwaukee Bucks and the New Orleans Pelicans to Atlanta for the pick that turned into Derek Queen, meaning that the Pelicans do not have their own first-round pick this season. So he's saying that his expectation is not playoffs. His expectation is putting together a deep roster that competes every single night, but also that deep roster that competes every single night does not have the pick to fall back on in case they aren't good enough to win every single night. It's tough. It's real tough. And the way I said it is that this is the part of the season where every single fan base should be excited about something. Luckily enough, the pictures of Zion came out, so even though they don't have their own first-round pick, and even though they may not be good enough to make the playoffs in the Western Conference, Pelicans fans are excited because their franchise player Zion looks the best he's ever looked. But before that picture came out, I was saying, what should Pelicans fans be excited about? Every team is either excited about one or two things: the prospect of a postseason / a championship run, or the idea of winning the lottery, having future young assets, the idea of having the next LeBron James, right? That's where every team should lie. And the Pelicans not potentially being good enough to make the postseason, and not potentially being having their own first-round pick, not potentially, they don't have their own first-round pick, that leaves the fan in the middle. What should I be excited about? And again, it ended up being Zion. But this is a really tough quote. And him saying that would be short-sighted blows my mind because, again, he gave away the most interesting asset of the offseason. Now, there's a world where this pick means nothing, right? Zion looks that good. Maybe they are a play-in team. If they're a play-in team, even if they don't make the postseason, the play-in team, they gave up the 12th overall pick in this year's draft to get the 13th overall pick in last year's draft. Not that big of a deal if you really love Derek Queen, but we don't know that just yet. We're just going on based on what the Western Conference is and what this roster looks like right now. It just don't look like they'd be good enough to make that big push, unless Zion is that man. So that's it. Zion looks great. Pelicans, I don't know. But I cannot wait for the rest of these media days. I know that the Knicks already had theirs. Wasn't nothing too crazy came out of the Knicks one. The Brooklyn Nets produced at least a little bit of something, but nothing too worthy to talk about. So yeah, season underway. Oh, Small Ball Kenny Beecham is back, by the way, every Friday. Tune in.